Well, hi everybody. It's almost top of the hour. It's about 2 minutes from top of the hour. We'll get going shortly, just waiting for some other people to join as well. Thank you. It is top of the hour, guys. We are shortly going to start. I'm just going to give a few more seconds here for other people to join as well. I'll speak to you in about 10 seconds or so. Okay, I think we can get things started here. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us here on another Friday Changemaker session. For those guys that's new on Friday Changemaker sessions, this is a session where I go through a little bit more in technical detail on some of the topics that we've got in our product stack, and these cater from the Canary Historian Ignition SCADA as well as Flow Information Platform. Now today we're going to have a little bit of a technical deep dive in session in Ignition. I can't believe it, it's already session number 7. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the power of perspective. Now perspective is obviously the web-based visualization client of the Ignition SCADA platform, and with that is great capability that we can actually use it obviously on our mobile devices. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show a little bit how to use our peripheral components on our devices like barcode scanners, GPS location, and even the accelerometer to really enhance our applications. And today I'm going to focus on the barcode scanning component. But before we get stuck into that, I just want to quickly have a little bit of an Ignition recap. And obviously, Ignition 1.8, last time I spoke to you guys, it was still in release candidate mode, but it has actually been released. So we're just going to go a little bit quickly over those features again, and then we get started into building a cool barcode scanner application. All right, now, as you guys know by now, is that Ignition is a modular platform, and it really makes it easy for you to build and customize your industrial automation systems to pretty much exactly what you need. It is service-centric, web-deployed, model is flexible enough for any architecture, and it's scalable enough for companies of any size. And Ignition's power and flexibility makes it a perfect solution for SCADA, IoT, MES systems, and more. And all works together on one seamless platform. Now, why is this platform such a great thing? Well, it is one single unlimited platform that we can use for our HMI, SCADA, MES, and IoT applications. It's unlike any other SCADA solution because it's got quite a nice new features that's a little bit disruptive to our market. Now, some of these features obviously include the unlimited license model, the web-centric way of development and deploying of your solutions, the modular configurability. You can go and license only the specific modules and configure these specific modules on the platform depending on what your needs are. Very important, it's got cross-platform capability, and I'm actually going to show you a little bit of that as well today. And the view on any device is key and critical to get everybody information to any platform. It's built on open standard technology, so it's not a little black box. We can easily integrate to other components and into Ignition as well. And it almost can connect, well, it does connect to anything. And it's got a universal designer, so anything I do and anything I build is built on top of this universal design, and it's really easy to get going and fast to get a project up and running. Now, it does connect to anything. Obviously, it can connect to touch panels, databases, PCs, and what it actually does is it creates this server-based software that acts as a hub between everything on your plant floor and to where you need to get the data to have total system integration. Now, it doesn't matter what brand or model or platform it talks. Your plant floor equipment just naturally talks to the platform, and then you can extend that to talk to SQL databases, and with that, seamlessly bridge the gap between OT and IT. So it makes it, in essence, a master in data acquisition. And obviously, you'll notice the mobile device is one of these connection points, and that is exactly what I'm going to use today to get some barcode scanner information into my Ignition platform as well. Now, we get this question a lot, that the perspective or the Ignition platform does have two visualization components, and I just want to quickly brief cover those two so you guys can see very simply where the boundary values of these two components is. The other two visualization modules that I'm talking about is obviously the vision module and obviously perspective. Now, when we talk about vision, vision is being this established visualization platform for almost now 15 years within the induction platform. So it's been around, it's been used, it's extensive use in about any industry, and it really was designed for plant floor and desktop screen. So it's been designed to act as that HMI or as that SCADA that's physically on the plant floor and on your desktop screen. It's got web-based clients that you can launch, obviously, if you've got connection to the central gateway. And obviously, you can go and display your charts, your graphs, your trends, your HMI screens, and more with that. Now, with 8.1 that's been released, the vision module is also covered on this LTS release, and it will be continue to be updated with improved and fixes for at least the next 5 years as well. So it is covered on the LTS release cycle of new 8.1. Now, the perspective module is the next generation visualization system for the industrial applications, and it's really optimized specifically for size responsive screens across your organization. So it doesn't matter what type of screen size you have. It's not for a fixed desktop. It can be for your laptop, for your browser, for HMI screens, and as well for mobile applications. Now, it will empower you to easily create beautiful, responsive industrial applications that runs natively on any screen without the need for any third-party web browser. So it runs natively in the web, and they also have a mobile app that you can build inside there as well. Now, with Perspective, you can build your industrial application solutions for SCADA and HMI as well. And obviously then go all the way up into MES type of applications, and it's all done within HTML5. Now you can go and deploy and update an unlimited number of clients to instantly to a virtual device from any location with obviously just one click. And the best of all, Perspective is totally unlimited, so you can go and deploy as many sessions and give as many people access to the data as what you need. And that's great, because technically I don't need to download any client-side applications. I only open up my browser and off I go. Now, just a very little bit of a graphical representation of where the boundaries are and where they are. Obviously, if you look at vision, as I explained, vision is based to fixed desktops, a little bit more control room kind of solutions. So you can see the little blue line there goes from control room all the way to desktop, covering HMI. And then obviously from a perspective, it bridges that as well. So you can definitely use it for your control room, HMI and desktops, but it goes and extends all the way to your tablets and phones as well. And you can use them together, right? You can use them on their own or together to form the industry's most powerful cutting edge visualization system that's out there. The nice thing about perspective is obviously it runs Claytors natively on iOS and on iOS, and it also has an app, the Perspective app. So you can, with that app, you can instantly deploy an unlimited number of perspective clients to your smartphone and tablets as well. And obviously, the reason why we want to use this native app is that I want to use and take full advantage of the mobile device's features. As we said, barcode scanning, accelerometer, and GPS, just as an example. And these apps is available from the App Store and from Google Play, so you can go and download that from your respective stores and get going with that. Now, the app, why we would want to use the app, and obviously you could have just used the browser of the device and get access to your projects via that. But the magic of the app is to leverage the mobile device sensor data, and it really opens up a lot of different applications that we can now enhance our industrial applications with. For an example, you can take your camera that's on your phone, you can go to a piece of equipment or a machine, and you can take maybe a picture of a faulty machine or an oil leak as an example. You can obviously go and easily scan barcodes and QR codes to give your SCADA system instructions from potentially where you are in the factory to maybe open up some navigation to a different section. And obviously you can go and take readings or photos in the field, and you can tag those readings and photos with the GPS location and potentially other sensor data that you might have. You can even connect it to Bluetooth if you have some Bluetooth sensor devices, and there's a lot of other practical examples where you can use your phone's peripheral device to get data in and out. And I'm going to show a little bit of that a little bit later. Now, as we mentioned, Ignition 8.1 is actually released. You can go and download it, get your fingers on it, get playing a little bit. So I just quickly want to go over the main features again for 8.1 before I get going here on the demo. So a little bit of what's new in Ignition. So if we look at Ignition Perspective, it is a little bit of a little bit of a kind of a standalone application that we can use to launch our Perspective clients by means of Workstation. Obviously, prior to that, we have to use our browsers, and that obviously opens it up for people to be able to open up other tabs and go to other sections. So the Perspective Workstation is great, almost like a little kiosk mode for your application that you've built. With that, it obviously brings up new perspective symbols. There's a new power chart component, and I think the most important thing about the 8.1 release, if we look at the platform and the vision components there, is that 8.1 is going to be LTS release. So that's the long-term supported release, and that means that it will have security and stability improvements for at least the next 5 years. And it will include and have those fixes into the product. Cool. And then there's other quite cool features like a little quick start guide and a quick start configuration where you can get a little demo project that shows you all the new features and capability of that. One thing that I'm very excited about is the Docker images. And I'm going to actually run today's demo on a Docker image, show you guys how that works. So I'm really chuffed about the Docker images as well. As I mentioned the Workstation, it allows you to run in kind of full desktop mode. so that it looks like a normal kind of desktop application as well, rather than using it in your web browser. You can also launch your Perspective application in full kiosk mode, almost similar to full screen mode of a normal application. So you can go and block out Windows commands, etc., so that the people only have access to the actual application. And very importantly, it also provides multi-display support, because obviously with a browser it's a little bit difficult to have support for multiple screens that you might have, and that is exactly what Workstation will also give you, is that multi-monitor kind of support from that perspective. They included some new symbols that I can use obviously in my Perspective project if I want to go and use it to create SCADA and HMI type applications. So we've got our dynamic data driven symbols. You can choose if you want to have it a little bit in the PID kind of graphical representative, a simple kind of mimic, or a simple representation of a little bit more advanced mimic. And obviously there is animation on these as well to drive your different states and running feedbacks from that perspective. Now they also released a very cool power chart for the Perspective. This is now where I can easily go and create ad hoc trends in my runtime, and they pretty much leveraged it off the old Vision Easy Chart component that was in the Vision module, and I wanted to give the same flexibility and the same performance into Perspective. So they gave us the power chart in this new release, and it's really great to create these custom and ad hoc trending needs that we have to look at our data. All right, now on the LTS, or on the long-term performance and stability release, Ignition 8.1 will be the first LTS release since 7.9, and the culmination of about 17 updates to Vision 8.0 has led to actually it now be included into the LTS release. So as I mentioned, for the next 5 years, there will definitely be security updates to the improvements of the performance in regular timelines or time periods, at least for the next 5 years. A little bit of security improvements that was done in 8.1 as well is obviously we always had the identity providers when we actually launched our Perspective clients before, but what they've done is they actually included this now to the designer and the actual gateway and to the Vision module as well. So identity providers is now available there for you to utilize, not just for your Perspective projects or your Perspective applications, but also the gateway, the designer, as well as your Vision modules. Now this is really exciting for me, and that is that all the Ignition modules or images are now available on Docker. And the nice thing about this is that if I've got a Docker image, I don't really have to install Ignition on my laptop. I can go and quickly spin up older versions, newer versions, check out what the new versions are, and it's really there for rapid development and rapid ease of install. And also I can use multi-gateway architectures, so I can spin up a multiple of Docker images instead of going to deploy multiple servers or multiple VMs to test my multiple architecture kind of gateway scenarios. So that's really great, and I'm going to actually spin up a little Docker here in a few seconds when I start getting going with the demo. Now, if you commission your gateway for the first time, they've now included a little bit of a quick start guide. Now this is great because it helps you with sample projects, also gives you a little bit of the new features and capabilities that's been included in 8.1, like the power chart that you see in front of you. And it also helps you to learn a little bit about how would I use different screen layouts, different project layouts for different applications depending on my mobile device or tablet, etc. And gives you a little bit of Python scripting examples as well. So that's really great that we have that, and then we can have a little bit of a show and tell, or of a guide on how to build our different layouts and projects in the future. For the guys that's been playing with Ignition a little bit already, the tag creator and the tag browser has got a little bit of a revamp. So it's a little bit streamlined, it's a little bit easier to go and create your tags. And I like it a lot, the little changes that they made to the tag designer. It really helps, and it really looks really great from that perspective. As I mentioned, the tag browser's also got a little bit of an update, and it helps you with a little bit more organization and customization around your tags. And you can actually go and add a little bit of metadata like colors to your UDT, so you can easily identify them. So a little bit of cool tweaks and changes that they've made to the tag browser. On a designer side, what they've done is they've created a little bit of shortcuts to quickly create new project resources. You'll notice these when you want to go and create any perspective resource, alarm pipelines, transaction groups, etc. So they just created these little shortcuts and quick create kind of guides to help us to guide and get stuff even faster, get going within Ignition. Cool. Now this is just my quick update on the platform on what's coming in 8.1. So what I want to get going here today is obviously a little demo here, and obviously what we're going to do in the demo is, as I mentioned, I'm going to connect to the barcode scanning capability of my mobile mobile app on my phone, and let's see how easy it is to actually get barcode scanning data in the platform and get going with that. Cool. So I'm going to go to my browser first, because what I want to show you guys is the Docker images. So I'm going to quickly go to Docker Hub here on my browser. There we go. And if I go to Docker Hub, obviously this is the hub where they've got all the Docker images loaded. So if I go and search there for inductive automation, or just inductive itself, you'll see it comes up with the inductive automation section there. Click on that, and these are now the latest images that's supported by Inductive themselves. Now you'll notice it's very simple to use, so explain to you how to go and pull this image from Docker itself, and then they've got a little bit of a guide here to pull an Imperial gateway for testing as well. So I'm going to use this to pull the lately nightly image, and I'm going to use that to build out this today. So obviously you can use the nightlies that they've released, but obviously you can also specify a specific branch or a specific version like 8.10 or 8.11. That's I think in release candidate as well for now. Cool. So go to Hub, go to Docker, create an account, download the Docker desktop application, and then you can start pulling off your applications here. So I've got Docker for desktop already installed, and you'll notice that I've pulled the nightly image already. It's about 2 gigs in size, so I'm just going to spin up a new container with this image that I've downloaded already. So I'm going to go here in my terminal, and I've got it already pre-configured there. So I'm going to run my new Docker image here, and notice that I'm going to map the internal gateway port 8080 to just an external port that I can actually access outside of Docker, so that I'm going to be able to access it on 9088. Cool. So let's hit enter here, and there we go. It's spinning it up. So you'll notice that my image was now in use, and now I've got a new container with Ignition running already on port 9088. And it's extremely fast and extremely easy to get going with that. So let's see. Let's open up my browser again. So technically, if I go to my local host here, port 9088, there we go. Brand new image of Ignition without having to install it. Just go and run a new container with that Docker image, and off we go, and I can go through the normal kind of commissioning procedure as we normally went through after an install. So I'm just going to quickly complete this, and we can get going here as well. Now I'm going to keep it on port 8080 because my Docker is mapped to obviously 9088 on my outside host. So obviously I'm just going to leave that at 8088. And there we go. Let's start the gateway. And in a few seconds here, my gateway should be up and running. So it's quite fast to do. As you can see, didn't have to install it, just run a new container of that already created image, and I should have access to my gateway any minute now. There we go. Cool. Gateway started. I'm not going to save my password, but here's that quick start guide that I was talking about. So you can very quickly say yes to enable the quick start guide, or you can say no, that you want to create it from scratch. But what the quick start guide will do is it will actually create you this little sample application. And you can use that sample application to now obviously look at different layouts, different projects, etc. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to start from scratch. And there we go. I've got my designer up and running, my gateway up and running. So let's go to my designer launcher here. I've already set it up to connect to my localhost Docker, and I'm just going to launch that there. And there we go. I can now log into this image. And let's go and create, sorry, it's always just popping up my second screen here. And let's create a new project. And this project, obviously, I'm going to call it my barcode project. And there we go, guys. Sure, I don't know, even less than 3 minutes, I actually got a new Docker image running, created a new project, and I'm ready to design. So that is, for me, that's quite fast to actually get it up and running. All right, let's go and create a new view here in perspective, because I'm going to utilize perspective obviously to create a mobile type of application by utilizing the barcode scanning features and capability. So I'm going to go and create a new view here. I'm just going to call it view, and let's create this blank new view for me. Perfect. Now, to create a barcode scanning application, obviously I need to tell the phone to now launch the camera, and then with that camera launch, scan the barcode, and then return obviously the data that's being associated with that camera or that scan. So if I look at the different components here in my Perspective Components browser, and I go and look for barcode, you'll notice that there's quite a few things here. There's a barcode scanner input. There's a way to display a barcode as well, so I can utilize that. But actually, to call up just a normal barcode, I'm just going to put on a button. So I'm going to add this button to my component here, and this button, let's just call it, this is going to now to scan my barcode. So let's put it, not scam, scan. There we go. All right, and if I press on this, I would obviously like to launch the camera on my device. So how do we go and configure this button to do that action? Well, it's very simple. What I do is I go and configure the events on this button, and you'll notice that obviously I can go and utilize on-click an event. So I'm just going to do an on-click event here, and I'm going to add a new action to this event. And you'll notice one of the actions that's there by default is the action to actually go and scan a barcode. So that's all I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, please go and scan a barcode for me. And you'll notice that you can go and select the type of barcode that you're going to scan. Now I'm going to go and scan a QR code. So let's select QR code from the option there. And then obviously I could have added some context. I could have added some metadata with this, but I'm just going to leave it as it is for now. Hit apply, and when I do this, it will actually go and launch my barcode scanning component. So this will physically just launch the camera on my device to scan the barcode. But now I need to tell my session, what do I want to do after that option or that object is completed? So what I need to do, the second part that I need to do to get barcode scanning working, is you'll notice that on my project, And because it's perspective and because I'm using sessions to launch it, I need to go and create a session event to say, you know what, I've just scanned this barcode. What would I like to do with the data itself? All right, so let's go and look at this. So I'm going to go and click on session events here. And you'll notice that one of the session events that I've got is a barcode scanned event. So what this will do is obviously it will tell me when I scan my barcode, what do I want to do after that action? And you'll notice that I can receive the data that the barcode is scanned. I can also see that context. Remember on the button, you can add that metadata to your context, but there's also some predefined context that we can utilize in our scripting here. Cool. Now, the first thing that I would like to do is I just want to know what is the different things that I get in these different definitions or parameters that I get in my on barcode scan function. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to log the data. So when I scan my barcode, I'm just going to go and log this data, and let's see what that data in those parameters are. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and create a logger session. Okay, so I use this quite a lot just to go and be able to log into the gateway logger. I go and create a logger system here, and I'm going to go and create a special one for me called Barcode. And then what I will do after that is I'm just going to go and log into the logger. What is the actual parameter for context, and what else can I get when I actually log data? So let's do that. So I'm going to log the context, so the context that gets passed in, and I'm also going to log the data that gets passed in as well. Cool. Hit apply. Say okay. Save this session, and there I've got my first kind of component up and rolling here for my project. So I'm going to go and add this. Obviously, I need to go and scan this with my mobile device. So I do have my little mobile device actually here as well. So I'm just going to go and open up my mobile device here. And let's get my phone up and running here as well. Cool. There I've got my phone. So you'll notice that I've got the Ignition Perspective app already downloaded. Only thing I need to do is I need to know what is the IP address of my laptop at this point in time. So I'm just going to very quickly see what is my laptop's IP address so that I can actually go and move that as well. So I am 202. All right, so I'm IP 202, and I will utilize that when I go and set this up. So I'm going to quickly open up here. I'm going to go to the Perspective application, and I'm going to go and add a new gateway. So I'm going to do a gateway search, but I'll just go and manually quickly import it because I know what my IP address is. I'm going to go to http://192.168.1.202, and my port is 9088. So let's see, there we go. I've got a valid host, and on this host I've got my new barcode app that I've just done. And let's see, there we go. Launch it, and there's my very simple little scan me button. Cool. Now obviously I probably need a barcode, right? So let's quickly generate a barcode here. Let's open up my browser. There's a little app that I always use to go and create some barcode QR codes in this case. There we go, QR code generation. And let's say if I scan this barcode, I want to navigate to a different page. So I'm going to call it pump A. So I want to go and navigate to pump A. So let's get my phone next to this as well. There we go. And I'm going to go and hit the scan me button here. All right, that will now open up my barcode scanner. A little bit of inception there, but let's go to that QR code, and there we go. It scanned the QR code. All right, now let's go and look in the logger. So let's go to status. Let's quickly, obviously, have to log in here, and let's go look in the logs. What happened? So there we go. There's my barcode logs that's got saved into the session. So you can see the context that it currently gives me is the page ID of the page in my Perspective app that was used to scan it. So that's very important when we want to do navigation. So I definitely need that. And then you can see the data that I get back is actually just the text of the barcode that I've scanned. In this case, pump A. So cool. I can now get the data from that data object, and I can also get my page ID when I want to go and use navigation to navigate to a different page. So let's go back to my designer here. Let's go back to my session events. So cool, I know that data now contains the word text or an object with the text that I'm scanning. And then I know context gives you my page ID. Then when I go and use navigation to navigate to potentially another session there. All right, so next thing that I want to do, potentially I want to save this data that I've scanned. Maybe I don't want to just use it for navigation. I might want to use it to actually go and write it to a PLC or write it into a tag. So let's see how we would do that as well. So I'm going to very quickly create a new tag here. I'm just going to go and create a new standard tag. Let's do a memory tag as in this example. And I'm just going to call it, this is my barcode. And it's going to be obviously a string tag from that perspective. Hit apply. Okay, so currently I've got a barcode and the value is nothing. So it's blank. So I'm just going to say 0 for now. Cool. So there's my barcode tag. Now again, to write to that tag, I'm going to go back to my session event. I'm going to extend my little script here that I've got. And I'm actually going to now write to my tag. Now I'm going to use the system.tag.write asynchronous command to do that. So let's do that. So let's write to my tag. My tag name is obviously barcode. And I'm literally going to write the data.text field to my barcode tag that I've got here. Obviously, the tag.write async can write in arrays, so that's why I've got this as an array declared. I only have the one component in my array, so I'm obviously just writing this one tag. So technically, this should now write, as soon as I scan, it should go and write the data to my tag. Cool. All right, so all I have to do is now, let's get my phone back in here because I'm going to go and write to that tag. So let's get my phone next to here. I'm going to open this up. There we go. I'm going to go and just into my browser, go to my QR code. Let's move that down so I can see everything here. Let's hit the scan me button. And if I scan there, cool. Let's go in here. Just click away, and there we go. It's written pump A to my tag. Exactly what I wanted. Cool. So I can write to tags. So I can take the data from my barcode and I can actually write it to tags. Cool. Navigation. How would I use my barcode to navigate to different components? So let's see how I would do that. Obviously for that I need a little bit more views. So I'm just going to make this a bit bigger here. So I'm going to create a new view, and the page is going to be, this is going to be pump A. Wait, my spelling. Page A, and let's call this one pump A. Create view, and let's do another one. New view, and let's just do pump B. He will also have a page URL. Perfect. Cool. So I've got pump A, I've got pump B, and let's just add a component here so we know what we're looking at. Sorry, I'm just going to make it full screen. And let's just go and look from my symbols right at the bottom here. And I'm just going to put a pump. And this is obviously going to be pump A. So let's say you are pump A. Cool. So I would like to navigate to this display with my little pump here. And the way that I'm going to do that navigation is obviously going through my session events again. So let's go and navigate. Now the way that I navigate is I use the system.perspective command, and that will then go and navigate to my screen here. All right, so system.perspective of navigate. The page that I want to navigate to is the page name on my device, so that's going to be pump A. And then very importantly, I need to give it the context. Now you guys remember that the context have this page ID, and I need that page ID to tell it to from which page, from which session do I actually want to now navigate to another page. So we need to pass it this page ID as well. Technically that's all that I have to do. Let's hit apply here, say okay. And now technically when I go and navigate or scan the barcode, it will go and navigate to this pump display that I've got here. So let's get my phone in here again. And let's update the app. Remember to save. Cool, let's update the app. And now if I scan the same barcode, I should navigate to that pump screen that I've got. So scan the pump, and there we go. I'm off to the pump screen. So just quickly show you guys how I can use that now to navigate to different components as well. Now obviously I can use this for a lot of other things as well. So the last thing that I want to show here is to actually scan a physical product barcode or a barcode on a book, and that use that to actually get some information potentially from a web API call. So let's do this. I'm going to add another label in here. Cool, so I'm going to add a label here on my screen, give it some space, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this to the center here, is I'm going to bind this label, and what I want to do is I want to actually go and look up a product information on the internet. So when I scan the barcode of a product, I want to go and see if I can get the values from a web API call potentially on this. So I'm going to go and bind this label here, and I'm going to bind it to an HTTP call. And the URL that I want to bind it to is I'm going to go and bind it to a barcode scanning API. I just want to show you guys that. So it will go and look up, it's an API to go and look up barcodes, and this will go and look up barcodes for me, and all I have to do is tell it which tag I need to look at for what the barcode has been scanned. So I'm going to change new tag here to barcode. And this will now literally go and scan my barcode here. And that's all that I have to do to get this going. Cool. So hit apply. Now, another thing to remember is obviously that the barcode that I want to go and scan now is potentially not a QR code anymore. So I'm just going to change it to any, just to make sure that I can scan any barcode, not just a QR code. So I'm going to hit apply there, hit OK, and hit save. Now I'm going to get my phone back in here, and let's just open that up again. And I've got a book that I'm going to scan. So let's see if this is going to work. So open up the scanner there. Let's scan this book that I've got there. Scan the barcode. Alright, great. So it navigated to my pump, which obviously I wanted. But there you can see here is the actual result back from that barcode scanner. So there I can see what the prices is from this book in the different stores, where you can buy it from. So on buy.com it is about £8 for this book. So just utilizing that to get a whole bunch of more information, just not from the normal kind of SCADA applications that we've got, but also use that to go and scan and get data from web APIs. So I hope that showed you guys the power of how I can go and use the barcode scanning, and how I can really go and utilize these features on my phone to really go and improve the applications that I can go and build. That's all I've got to show for today. Thanks again for having me. I hope you guys have a great Friday, and please be on the lookout for a few of the other sessions that we're going to have in the future. It's top of the hour. Sorry guys, I kept you busy for an entire hour, but hopefully I see you again on another tech session. Have a great weekend and take care. Thanks everybody.